Jane to dar jesmo, to dar jan nahan, e nahan andar nahan, e jan. The soul hides in the body, and you hide in the soul. O hidden within the hidden, O soul of the soul. Once there was a king who was tall and broad-shouldered and magnificent, so magnificent that when anyone was in his presence, they collapsed in amazement. A king who had 2 bright eyes like stars, so bright that if anyone dared look right into them, they would be turned to ashes at their sight. And this king would wander among his subjects and see how some would collapse and others would turn to ashes, until one day he thought to himself, "Alas, I am a king, and what is a king without his subjects? I must find a way to protect my subjects from my own presence." And so from that day forward, the king went among his subjects with his face covered in a veil. But when his subjects saw their king with his face covered, they began to weep and cry out, some tearing at their beards, others tearing at the collars of their shirts. "Your Majesty," they cried, "why do you hide your face from us? Why do you hide your face from us? Surely we will fall into despair if you do so." And then that evening the king retreated to his palace, and he thought to himself, "When I show myself to my subjects, they perish. But if I hide my face from them, once again they perish from despair. What am I to do? What am I to do?" And so for many days he pondered this problem until he found the answer. He ordered that all his subjects appear one day before one of the walls of his palace. And on that day he had that very wall covered with countless mirrors, mirrors of different shapes and different sizes. And standing in front of that wall were all his subjects. And at that moment, the king appeared before them, his back to his subjects, and his front facing that very wall. And from behind his subjects could see their king in the reflection of the countless mirrors that covered those walls. Some looked to one mirror and they cried out, you see, our king is a protective father." "No, no, no," cried others. "Don't you see," as they looked at other mirrors, "don't you see that our king is an ardent lover?" "No, no," still cried others who looked at other mirrors, crying out, don't you see that our king is an ardent lover?" "No, no, no," still cried others who were looking at other mirrors, crying out, don't you see, your fools, that our king does not exist? So let us go to the tavern and not worry about the next day." And then the subjects began to argue among themselves. "Our king is a protective father." "No, no, 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 our king is an ardent lover." "No, no, our king is a faithful friend." "No, no, you fools, our king does not exist." And soon behind his back the king heard his subjects arguing among each other, their voices raised, their fists striking blows one against the other, until blood ran down their faces. And the king retreated to his palace, leaving his subjects to their arguments and their quarrels. And that evening, That evening he went onto the terrace of his own palace, and above was a full moon that from high above was looking down at him. And he looked up at that moon and he cried out, "E Maroch, O sweet moon face, how lonely I feel tonight, even more lonely when I covered my face from my subjects with that veil. For today, each of my subjects thinks that they saw all of me, and yet not one of them understands. Not one of them understands that each of them has only seen part of me, and not the whole. Jane to dar jesmo, to dar jan nahan. E nahan andar nahan, e jan. The soul hides in the body, and you hide in the soul. O hidden within the hidden, O soul of the soul.